Hey guys, it's Brianstormed. I recently joined eSports NHL 18 Snider Cup, sponsored by Xbox and World Gaming. And in this video, I'm going to be showing you guys the online qualifiers that I ended up taking part in. For those of you unaware, on worldgaming.com, you can end up joining this tournament where in the end, there's going to be a live finals for the top 8 players, which you can see the prizes for the tournament right here. The live finals are going to take place on the 7th of the 3rd month of the year. Yep, because I can't say this word properly right now. Online playoffs on February 17th and 18th. And there's still one more qualifier that you can take part in if you're watching this video before February 10th. Now, this tournament is in versus mode. In the qualifiers, you ended up having to win 3 games in a row. My first opponent didn't show up, so I only played 2 games. My first game is against Best in Ottawa, who has pretty much a 2.0 win-loss ratio. So this guy's pretty decent. Let's see how the game went. It's going to be a hybrid of Refuse to Lose, my versus series, where I climb the leaderboards and try to help you guys out with gameplay. And I do that by pretty much giving you guys a live analysis of my gameplay. We're also going to be talking about this tournament, esports, and competitive NHL in general. So let's start with this tournament. The reason this tournament is in versus is because when it comes to Hockey Ultimate Team, players can have an advantage based on the type of team that they have built. When these high-profile tournaments are made, they need to be made fair for everyone, and I think that there are certain laws that they have to abide by. Otherwise, I think it's considered gambling by certain countries or states. Versus isn't exactly a fast-paced game mode, as player overalls for every team are in the 70s and 80s for the most part. So your players skate a lot slower, they can hardly deke, it's easy to miss the net. So the way that you have to play is a lot more precise. You have to do your best to force those high quality opportunities as close to the net as possible. So usually the best thing to do is get breakaways or one-timers in front of the net. If you don't have any other options, you start taking shots from the slot or from the point, because you might as well take a lower scoring opportunity than no opportunity at all. With this, a lot of high-leveled versus players kind of believe there is ice tilt, just because you'll have a game where you're just taking a crap ton of shots, nothing's going in, you have maybe 20, 25 shots on the net by the end of the game. Your opponent has 5 and he has more goals than you, even though he hardly had any good scoring opportunities against you. It shines quite a bit in versus because of that. A lot of high-level versus players know some tricks on how to kind of eliminate that randomness. Back in NHL maybe 15 and earlier, everyone did the behind-the-back slap shot, because as long as you got right in front of the net, you're pretty much guaranteed a goal with that. You would hardly ever actually miss the net. In NHL 16 and 17, you had the glitch wrap. That was pretty much a guaranteed goal because the goalie would move off of the post and you're just going to be shooting at an empty net. Those two things kind of still exist in NHL 18. Lovely first goal by him to start things off, by the way. But those things are a lot harder to score on, because when it comes to the backhand slap shot, you need a lot of room and space to do that. Pretty much have to be alone in front of the net, and any competent player would stop you from doing that. And then when it comes to the glitch wrap, you have to be a lot further inward, where it's kind of like you're just taking a short side shot anyway, but the goalie still somehow ends up moving off the post. It's not as consistent, but of course it still happens. There are a few other tricks players use, such as the line change exploit, where you go for a line change and then you pass it to the player making the line change and get an easy breakaway. But AI players seem to be a lot more competent defensively to stop that. Then there was a dump and chase trick where the goalie would go out for the puck, not get it, but he would be behind the net, and then a player on the opposite side chasing the puck would pretty much have an empty net. I haven't seen too much of that either. So those things either increase the skill gap between players or plague those tournaments, depending on how you look at it, depending on who you ask. Personally, I just stick to hockey and try to force as many high-quality opportunities as I can while limiting my opponent from taking those same high-quality opportunities. But other players play differently. We'll see what happens this year. Of course, not doing live commentary for this game because you have to be some kind of legend, play a high-level tournament game, commentating and trying to analyze your own gameplay at the same time. I'll still come out with Refuse to Lose shortly after this. My opponent in this game, I could tell that he was very skilled, but it seemed like he was sticking to just a few little moves, primarily in the offensive zone. You see him do a lot of one-timers, primarily from one face-off circle to the other. After he did it like once or twice, I knew that that was going to be his game plan, and I knew that that's what I had to shut down, like right here. Except he ended up scoring. All it takes is a goal like that, and, well, I know that's what I have to focus on and make him do something else. Most skilled players, when you shut them down one way, they know how to score another way, and then they'll keep you on your toes because you're not sure if they're going to go for the first way or the second way, and it's very difficult to defend both ways of scoring. I didn't see it too much coming out of this guy, so it wasn't too bad, but just know that that's what, like, the top 100 players play like. Defensively, I noticed that at times he was really aggressive and at other times he was really passive. Not really anything in between. So once I recognized here he was going to go aggressive, I try to make a little move. Whereas when he's passive, I try to go as close to the net as I can. Because it's versus, my first instinct is one-timers. One-timers are very strong. Whereas shooting the puck by yourself, the shot's not as accurate, not as powerful, so it's harder to get by the goaltender. He's sticking to my pass recipient, then I can try to treat it like a breakaway. But if he's too close for that too, then I'm going to have to go for something like a low rebound shot for my pass recipient to get it and bury it. You'll see that that's what I will do often throughout the game. If I can't get any of that, then I just end up cycling the puck. Seem pretty weak against my cycles, often giving me high quality opportunities in the slot for one-timers. Then if I didn't have anything, might as well just go with a D-to-D one-timer just to get a shot. Try to get a good, decent shot on the net. That's kind of the tournament and competitive NHL, kind of how all of that was working out. Now let's talk about esports. Esports are electronic sports. That doesn't mean that NHL is an esport because it's a sport that's electronic. Actually, high-level competitive gaming being treated as a sport. If you're new to esports, look no further than a game like League of Legends. Multiple organization-sponsored teams filled with roster changes that are competing for the top prize. And in League of Legends, it's in the millions. In many cases, it's a bunch of people coming together to be on a team, but that doesn't always have to be the case, as a lot of fighting games, it's individual efforts for those tournaments. The NBA and FIFA ended up creating esport leagues. I think Madden might have as well, but I haven't heard too much about that, where a bunch of organizations sponsor teams to play, practice, compete, and represent those organizations in high-level games. And now in January, the NHL announced that it was going to create its own esports league, which sounds pretty exciting. It will likely be in EA Sports Hockey League EASHL, either in 3s or in 6s. The reason why it's in a game mode like that and not versus is, first of all, the reasons we talked about earlier in the video, where the game is really random. But also to add on to that randomness is the fact that AIs seem to play different almost every time. If we get rid of AIs, where everyone in the game is human controlled, then it's going to be primarily on the players when they win or lose. We know, however, that that's not always the case, especially when it comes to NHL 18, due to something like puck pickups, where your players just don't want the puck, it seems. So it's stuff like that that has to be ironed out before we get an esports league in a future NHL title. You have to get rid of as much randomness as you can. That way, the skill will end up shining, and the best players are the ones that end up winning. I mentioned 3s or 6s just a short time ago in the video, and right now we have a lot of competitive 6s hockey going on. Look no further than an online league such as League Gaming, LG, which has been running 6s for years now. Those players live, sweat, and breathe 6s, and an esports league will likely feature a lot of those big players. But we can also throw threes kind of into the mix just because it's a new thing that EA released. It's fast-paced and it's easier to get into. Outside of NHL, I used to play Halo a lot competitively, and one thing that really plagued the Halo esports scene is the fact that the esports game modes weren't the default game modes. So they were really hard to get into when only a certain amount of people actually played the esports part of the game. As a result, that game mode wasn't really supported as much, and then esports in Halo ended up dwindling down in popularity. So that's primarily the reason why 6s wouldn't be great for esports compared to 3s. Outside of that, 6s involves probably a lot more coordination between players. There's a lot less open ice, so there's gotta be a lot more set plays that you do. Whereas with 3s, it's a lot more creativity because you're really just trying to get around one defender. You have 6 players instead of 4, because I'm also including the goalie, so there's a lot more room for error, and that's why only the top players will end up making it. Roster changes will be aplenty if players are making too many mistakes. 6s have also been around for a really long time, so a lot of players have already fine-tuned those skills to be top 6s players. Whereas when it comes to 3s, people still kind of have to figure out what's best for the team on what they do. Having 6s be a part of the esports scene will allow more players to take part in the league, though that might not necessarily be a good thing. When it comes to the draw, how many people would end up watching this, look no further than the Twitch streams that end up happening between top players and top teams on NHL 18. Now, oddly enough, they ended up being more populated a few years ago compared to now. But with players having something to play for, viewers have someone to cheer for week in, week out, it could certainly attract more people to the streams and the game. Something that EA needs to do is support this as much as possible. I know a game like Overwatch started up their esports league recently, and any kind of information about the league and games that are being played are right there in the menus of the game. They also have various loot and skins supporting those teams just to raise more awareness for the esports league. But it shouldn't stop there, because something the NHL series desperately needs for an esports scene is spectator mode, which I went over in my NHL 19 wishlist video. You should be able to watch the games from a variety of different angles. A lot of the stats that appear on the screen should be able to be pulled easily by a third party, someone who's not actually playing the game. With spectator mode, players that are playing NHL 18, or I guess just a future NHL game, would be able to see that there's an esports game going on right now, and through the game, be able to watch what is happening live. That brings more popularity to the esports scene, which gets more people talking about it. The people who watch the live games but don't actually play the EA NHL games might end up checking it out for themselves, especially if they're really, really bored because their team got eliminated from the playoffs. They might end up liking it and try out NHL for themselves. The more EA supports the community, the better it will be for everybody. Great pass come from me here to get this opportunity in front of the net, but just couldn't take the shot the way I wanted it to. So the esports league, no matter how not so polished the game is a a good thing for the game, just because it shows that EA NHL has a future to look forward to. A lot of those tweaks and gameplay additions that we'll see will be done for the esports league, and I'm sure EA is going to try their hardest to display a presentable game to pretty much the world. All these changes that would be made for the esports league would be reflected in the games that we play in all the different game modes. Hopefully, this means that a lot of the problems with the game will be fixed so that everyone can have an enjoyable and competitive experience if they desire it. So I'm open to it because it grows the game. I'll certainly be doing what I can to find myself on one of those teams and make sure you guys get a good look as to what's going on in the esports NHL scene. Hopefully you guys are all excited for it. Let me know what you guys think of NHL esports, this Snider Cup tourney, and just competitive EA NHL in general. Hopefully this declining or stagnating EA NHL popularity will change, and the game will grow as well as a lot of the other sports titles like we talked about with FIFA and NBA and even Madden. If you guys think you have the skill that it takes to be a part of these leagues, I'll do my best to keep you guys informed on anything related to the esports NHL scene, whether it's the announcement, the details, the teams that are being formed, how to become a part of it, the games that are being played. But until then, make sure you check out the rest of my videos teaching you guys how to become better at the NHL series. You're free to watch the remainder of the video. My opponent is going to play a lot more aggressively. He's down by 4 goals. He needs to take some chances, and I'm just not going to let him take those chances. You can see him switching to the aggressive face-off stance, seeing if that's going to help him. It doesn't really do that. In the end, I end up winning this game. I win my next game, and I'll find myself in the online playoffs in about a week and a half. Maybe I'll see you there too. Who knows? Regardless, thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in another video.
Blocked away. The boards are there to be used, and he does it with that pass. Back in front, stared him down and made the save.
You talk about cutting down the angle. Perfectly executed by the goaltender.
Loose puck regathered by Cronwall. Looks for room. Just missed the net.
That's going to happen. There's not a lot of room there. He just missed the shot.
Big drive. Grabbed.
You can't ask for a better opportunity in the scoring zone. What a great glove save.
Holds at the point. Hangs onto it. Skilled play by Nielsen. They've got it. He works it along with a pass off the boards. He helps his team make progress with that bounce pass. He had a great chance, but he has just missed the net.
I don't see too many guys getting in the way of blocking that shot. That thing had some heat on it.
Looking for options. Puck controlled now by the defense.
The Red Wings have laid an absolute beating on their opponents tonight. Offensively, defensively, goaltending, they've been the better team in every facet of the game.
Wonderful stop.
With this puck being so close to net, this is all a reactionary save.
Wow, he slowed him right down there. Napped by Eriksson. Good standing poke check. Terrific charging down the ice. He won the race. Play continues. Propelled to Crosby. Thrown to the slot. Detroit's up the wing, controlling play now. Penalty call coming. Watch for his signal here. Detroit's got 2 minutes on their penalty total, and this one's for slashing. Pittsburgh's power play has had many opportunities, just not much success. Maybe that'll change.
Martin first, 2 minutes for slashing. Time of the penalty, 16 minutes, 7
Good jab with the stick there. Wow, look at him. He's got a long way to go. Does he have enough gas? He takes that one right ahead. Good pass. Puck loose, denied by the defense. Nicely into the zone. Possession reestablished by Hornquist. Superb defensive play by Eriksson. A chance to clear. The Penguins' power play is over. They've had their problems tonight.
Once in a while, an ugly goal is...
Terrific shot, but a great point-blank save.
Terrific stop from right in front of the net, but you got to find a way to put the puck in the net.
Passing one off now to Sheary. So we're into the last minute. All is academic here. To DeKaiser. One-timer. Oh, quick reflexes. Good thing. Possession seized by Sidney Crosby. The Penguins want to generate something up the wing. Shoots one. Outstanding glove save. Directing that one to Zetterberg. The Wings in their own end, ready in attack. Pitching this one to Zetterberg. Marched narrowly inside. Gathered up again by Crosby. Good, solid defensive play with the stick. Poke checked away by Daly. And this one goes into the books. It is a good thing